Hello, this is Teresa Litchfield, and I'm so glad you're here with me. I know I haven't made a video or posted anything for quite a while, and that's because I've had to have shoulder surgery. But I'm doing lots of physical therapy, and it's doing great. I've taken a lot of time during all of this to do some fun things with foiling, and so I have lots of tips and tricks for you today. Pinkfresh Studio came out with some of the most beautiful hot foil plates to coordinate with some of their designs, so when I saw these I was totally hooked. Now when I buy sets like these, I like to buy all the coordinating products that go with each set, so I have lots of choices, but today is all about the hot foiling, so I won't use any of the stamps. But here's the Folk Garden set, and they have a rubber stamp that goes with this one. That red rubber stamps beautifully, so you could heat emboss instead of foil. And here's the foil plate with so much intricate detail. I chose this set for its versatility, and you'll see that as I create the card. It also has 4 stencils that you can color in, and the die, the one-piece die to cut everything out. And on the back of the packaging, it shows all the different products that go with this set. The small butterfly set is easily a favorite of mine, and again comes with the clear stamp, the hot foil plate, stencils, and the one-piece die that's so helpful in getting things lined up perfectly. I also stamped this with the foil onto a heat-resistant acetate, and I'll show that a little bit later in my creating of the card. I'll also use the Celebrate You set, which is so great for sentiments. And it has the clear stamp, the hot foil plate, and again that one-piece die to cut all of those sentiments out, which I find super handy to have on hand. And they line up just perfectly with the foil plate and the stamp set. So you can decide however you want to use this. I have the GEMINI Die Cut Machine, and so I use the GEMINI foil press machine, and that extender there is so you can use it with the large machine. I also love that it has the different heat settings and timer on it, because the 2 different foils I use, I find I need to adjust that depending on what I'm using. The machine also comes with those little finger grippers so you don't burn yourself, and the magnetic tweezers. Here's a fun little tip. A new foil roll comes with a little sticker on it, so instead of picking it off and running lots of foil, just slide a craft knife under it to cut it, and it's okay if it stays on there. I'm using the HAMILCO White Glossy 100-pound cardstock for my foiling and ink blending on this, and in this case I really feel like glossy means smooth, which you want for hot foiling. I've got the Folk Garden plate on the machine, and then I'll add my foil, which is SPELLBINDERS Aura foil, and then the HAMILCO cardstock. I also find the SPELLBINDERS foil needs a little more time in heat, so I'll change the heat setting to medium and the time to 20 seconds. And then I'll add the extender plate, which activates the GEMINI Die Cut Machine. If you have the GEMINI Junior, just use the top plate the foil press comes with. After I've run that through the machine, I'll dock the foil press and remove the plate with the magnetic tweezers. I find those come in really handy. And then I'll reveal that letterpress foiling on that super smooth cardstock. Isn't that gorgeous? You want to save that foil piece you peel off for another card, and I'll show how to use that in a bit. There are the 4 layering stencils that are numbered, and they also have corner markings that I'll line up with the foiled image, and I'll do some inking. I thought I would choose some of my ALTENEW inks that were close to the Pinkfresh challenge for the month. And I'll start by using the first stencil with ALTENEW's Sea Breeze ink and a small blending tool. I absolutely love that you can ink blend with coloring stencils over the foiling. I think that just takes things to a whole new level. The result is such beautiful coloring with very little effort, and I feel like the most important part of this is finding the right color palette. I'm using the blue shades for the leaves on the first 2 stencils, and you can see the reveal here of the first one, and now this is the second stencil, and I'll use Dusk ink and the same ink blending tool. I usually have tools that are designated for different color families. And here's the second stencil. That detail is just so pretty with the stenciling. The third and fourth stencil colors the flowers, so for the third one I'll use the blush ink, and I also have a tool for that color as well. I thought I would leave some of the stencil coloring in the video just so you could see how nice the HAMILCO cardstock ink blends. I usually use Nina Solar White 110 pound cardstock for most everything, but I have to say I'm really loving this cardstock for ink blending and definitely for hot foiling. It makes the process so easy. I'm using a little bit of my fourth color, which is rouge, on my third stencil to add a little bit of depth to the base of the flowers, and I'm using a small detail brush to do that. And then I'll change to my fourth stencil and use the same rouge ink with that one. The ink coloring with that foil is just so pretty in real life. Remember I was talking about the versatility of this set? Well, you can keep the image whole as background or you can cut them out with the die. I'm going to use it in both ways, so stick with me and you'll see what I mean. I take the hot foil plate and I place it on top of the foil press machine, and I'm using a 4x9 inch piece of cardstock for a slimline size. The machine is on low temperature and I set it for 15 seconds on the timer. No foil, I'm just going to do a letterpress technique with this. And then I take it off and run that through my die cut machine. And then I'm going to flip it around just where that foil plate ended, and I'm going to do it again and run that through my machine. With this size, your cardstock is going to hang off a bit, but that's okay. This ended up being very seamless. I wasn't sure if I was going to have to cover this up, but there wasn't really a need to do that. I thought I would do a little comparison between the two cardstocks to see which one I like best. One on the left is Nina 110 pound, and the one on the right is the HAMILCO 100 pound. The Nina is heavy and came out great. The HAMILCO did good too. It has a deeper letterpress, which has kind of a texture to it, and some raised areas on it. Any more pressure from my die cut machine and it would have cut through it. But I kind of like how it turned out, and they're just both very usable. I'm going to set the foil press to medium heat again, and I'm using a small butterflies plate. I'm using the same foil, and this time I'm going to use the heat resistant acetate, and I'm going to keep that backer on the acetate. I've set the timer to 20 seconds again, and then I'll run that through my die cut machine a couple of times. I reversed my die cut machine before I had a chance to foil the two butterflies on the bottom, but I used the die to cut them all out. And some of them sometimes don't cut out all the way, so I just have to snip some of the edges with my scissors. But aren't they pretty? I just love that they're clear. So starting out with Mango Smoothie, I'm going to stencil a whole panel of the butterflies. And I've got my ink blending tool there, and I'm going to do this just like I did the previous one. The second stencil, I'll use the blush ink. And the same blending brush and do the exact same thing. The third stencil is rouge, and again that same blending tool. The fourth color and the fourth stencil, I'm going to use the Sea Breeze ink. And then when I'm done with that, you'll see me come in and I'll use that small detail brush, and I'm going to use the dust ink right in the centers on the body. That just really gave some depth to those. I love that color combination. Look how bright and sunny that is. It's going to be so pretty underneath that acetate. And then I'll cut them out with the coordinating die. And look how cool that is. And you have all those butterflies to use. I just bend the acetate to fold up the wings and add a little glue on the head to adhere them. I'll foil the sentiments from the Celebrate You set. The same way as I've done, and I made a hinge by taping the cardstock to the plate, and I'm setting my timer for 20 seconds and heat on medium. And then I'll put that same foil pretty side down on the plate and press my timer. I'll return that to the base after I run it through the die cut machine, and here's the reveal of those beautiful sentiments. It's always such a fun surprise. I cut them all out with its coordinating die, and look at all those great sentiments you have on hand for so many occasions. I used the Pinkfresh Studio Slim Diagonal Stitch Rectangle dies to cut the two background pieces. And I've just arranged the Folk Garden die cut pieces on the card front. I'm going to use a piece of press and seal to save my arrangement. And I'm going to add lots of foam tape on this because I want this to have a ton of dimension. This is the greatest trick ever. I used to take so much time arranging and taking a picture so I could try and replicate the design. But this is so much easier and it just comes right off and it's reusable. I've added 3 of the butterflies to the card, and I glued the smallest of the metallic gold pearls to the head of each butterfly. And then I'll just glue them onto the card. I also added the Thinking of You sentiment, and I popped that up on foam tape. And I'll just fluff up those wings a bit for even more dimension. I just can't get enough of all of the elements on the card. It was just so much fun to create. And here's a little closer look, and you can see all that shine. The second card is really fast and simple to make, using all the elements from the first card, but the butterflies are already made and so is that sentiment. I foiled the background with a Folk Garden hot foil plate and cut it out using the largest die from the Pinkfresh Studio Stitch Rectangle dies. And as I promised, I wanted to show how to use that leftover foil piece. To do that, you want to use the metal shim that comes with your foil press machine, and you'll use that in place of the hot foil plate. And put that down on the platform, and then put your foil piece pretty side down, and then your cardstock you want to foil it on, and then you want to use a couple of shims, and you'll experiment with that, but you want to use like 2 to 4 shims. And I set this a little bit hotter, so I've set this at 30 and I've set it on a medium heat. And then you'll add the top plate and run it through the machine. I run it through 2 to 4 times to really get a good impression because it's flat and you don't have the hot foil plate to have any kind of ridges on it. And there you've got another background for another card. So back to the second card, I'm going to add the background to some fun foam for dimension, and then onto some colored cardstock, and this is Grapefruit from Concord 9th. I really like their colors and their weight of cardstock. This is the finished card, and again it was so easy to make with all of those elements that I already had made up. Adding all the dimension and the shine of the foil and acetate makes this simple card a really special one. I hope you enjoyed watching me create with hot foiling, and as always I have the products listed in the description below. I also have a couple other videos at the end here that you might enjoy, and if you enjoyed this video I would love it if you would like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I hope you have a great day doing something you love.